Yo, what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video. I apologize, it's been a couple of days since I last uploaded, but between March Madness starting and just having a lot going on in my college semester, got kind of swamped, but here I am back today with, I think, what will kind of be a pretty fun video. Today, I want to talk about what players in the current NBA have the best chance of breaking Wilt Chamberlain's 100 points in a game record. Wilt's record has stood for a pretty long time. I think it's around 60 years or so. And to be honest, I don't really know if I'm going to see that broken in my lifetime, even though like the three-pointer, which has kind of increased scoring averages across the board, has come into play. Guys are resting a lot more. Wilt was a guy who, over the course of a season or multiple, averaged over 48 minutes a game. He just really never sat. So he was kind of just an Iron Man. He was kind of unmatched in his time, other than guys like Bill Russell, for example. Wilt was really just a freak athlete. And that kind of, to me, feels like a potentially one-off thing in basketball. So I don't know if anyone's really ever going to touch that record, but I thought it'd be fun to still go through and kind of talk about what goes into that, like kind of my thought process, and who ultimately I think has the best chance right now. So make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Starting off, I'm going to list off the top 15 or so scorers in the league. I think I have top 17 listed here. Those guys I think have the best chance, so let's go through them. Starting off with Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Trae Young, DeMar DeRozan, Kyrie Irving, Ja Morant, Jason Tatum, Nikola Jokic, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, Steph Curry, Karl Anthony Towns, Zach LaVine, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Those are the top 17 scorers in the league right now. Right off the bat, there are a couple names you might notice are missing. For example, like James Harden is a name that if you ask this question, in fact, I did ask this question on Twitter a couple years ago, and James Harden was one of the most popular answers, but he's really not that scorer that he was a couple years ago. He's much more of a playmaker now, especially on Philly. So I'm going to kind of slide him out of the conversation. Klay Thompson is another name that was super popular on that tweet, because part of this is not only do you have to be able to create your own shots, but if you're creating your own shots completely for the course of a full game, over like 48 minutes, and you're going for 100, you're going to get exhausted. So you have to be able to also have guys create shots for you. And Klay Thompson is a guy that gets a lot of catch and shoot threes. He was never really much of a shot creator himself. And so he was a guy that was super popular, dropping 37 and a quarter, 60 through three quarters. Like, Klay was definitely someone that was in that conversation. But right now, coming off of his injury, I just don't feel comfortable putting him in that conversation at the moment. I do think when he gets healthier, there is a decent shot having a guy like Steph Curry on your team. Maybe he could be one of those guys that could try and get up there, but for right now, we're not going to talk about Klay. I also kind of want to knock off some of the guys on that list I mentioned before. Shai, Zach LaVine, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker right off the bat. I just don't think that they are going to shoot enough. Same with Karl Anthony Towns, who averages the least shots amongst all of those guys that I read off. Nikola Jokic as well only averages 17 shots a game, while most of the rest of the list averages like 19 to like some cases well over 20. So I just don't think, as a great playmaker as well, I just don't think he's going to shoot enough. So we're going to knock those guys off. And now eventually we kind of get down to a list. Once we also I knocked off DeMar DeRozan, because I think you need a good three ball to drop 100. While he is one of the best mid-range shooters in the league and he's great at getting to the basket, he scores efficiently, I think you need a three. If you keep like just attacking the basket, you're going to get exhausted eventually. So DeMar DeRozan is going to be out as well. Same with Ja Morant. I just don't think he's quite capable of that yet. He shoots the three decently well, but he doesn't shoot a lot of them. So we're going to push him out of that kind of conversation for now as well. So I narrowed it down to a list of Joel Embiid, Giannis, Kevin Durant, LeBron, Luka, Trae Young, Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, and Steph Curry. So a 9-man list. Now with Giannis, you might be saying he doesn't quite have a three ball, but just the dominance of him, like as like his physicality, how he kind of just overpowers people. I thought Giannis could still have a shot. So let's go through some of these guys. Joel Embiid is really up there in my opinion. He's the league's leading scorer, and not only can he shoot threes, can he kind of attack guys in the paint, he has a great playmaker like James Harden, which is something that I think is super critical to a accomplishment like this. You not only need to be able to get the ball, but you need someone to get you the ball, because I guarantee if Joel Embiid's got like 70, they're going to be double teaming him. They already double team him already off of the bat because he's so dominant scoring down low. So when you have a guy like James Harden who himself can draw double teams, it'll kind of help Joel Embiid there. Plus, Joel Embiid is great at drawing contact, getting to the free throw line, which I think is another huge piece of this. You have to be able to get to the line pretty consistently, because you have to get those easy buckets where you can kind of just take a break, relax, shoot from the line. So I think Joel Embiid is a prime candidate. Giannis also up there. I feel a little less confident in him than Joel Embiid just because of that lack of a three-point shot. He does have Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton who can kind of take some pressure off of him, and Drew Holiday who can get the ball to him. But with Giannis, he doesn't really have the three-point shot that Joel Embiid does, so I feel a little less confident. Kevin Durant is an obvious option, and I do think KD is way up there. It's Kevin Durant. He's one of the greatest scorers of all time. He can drop, like the other day, he dropped 50 and he made it look so effortless. He also does have a guy like Kyrie Irving who can get him the ball. And even with a double team, with the height that Kevin Durant has, he can just shoot over you. So there's really not much you can do. LeBron James is a guy that is, while he is fourth in the league in scoring, just going off points per game, I don't know. I don't really feel like LeBron at this point. He's not a great free throw shooter. He doesn't have a lot of options around him. So even when he does take on kind of the brunt of the load, there's not other shooters who can knock down a shot here and there. He's kind of got to do it all himself, and he is this team's like oftentimes their primary playmaker alongside Russell Westbrook. So it's just kind of a lot of responsibility for a guy in LeBron. So I'm not quite sure if he could reach that. You've got Luka Doncic, who I think does have a decent shot. While Luka is their primary creator, he's got like Dinwiddie and Jalen Brunson to help him out, as well as a lot of great corner three-point shooters. So they can't really sag off of those corners to double team Luka because his great passing ability, especially to shooters that can knock the shots down, on a little like on LeBron, where the Lakers don't have a lot of great shooters. The Mavericks have threats. And so if they're out there in the corners, they're not going to leave them, kind of opening up the game for Luka a bit more. He's also really good at getting to the free throw line and knocking those down. So Luka is a guy that I think is really up there as one of my contenders. You've got Trae Young, who I think with his combination of three-point shooting, his ability to pass out of double teams and get the ball back, he's just quick. I think he's got a decent shot, but I don't like him quite as much as Embiid and like Durant and Luka. I think those three right now are probably my top three as I go through this list. I just don't think he's quite up there with them. He definitely could pull it off. I just worry that not having a lot of options around, he's going to have to carry a little too much of the load. And once again, there's not really anyone on that roster to get him the ball like he might need to get the ball to him if they start double teaming. You have Kyrie Irving, who I think could have a good shot. I do kind of worry having Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on the same team, if that could kind of take away a little bit, but you know, there's the whole Kyrie Irving doesn't play home game situation, so maybe a Kevin Durant road game or home game is the best way to go for the Nets if they do want to kind of be the team or have the player to kind of take down this record. You've got Jason Tatum, who while he is a great scorer, I'm not quite sure. I worry about him getting to the line. He takes a lot of deep mid-ranges and stuff like that, so I'm not quite sure with Jason Tatum. I think he just is a tier below some of those other guys. And finally, Steph Curry, who has to be in my top tier of scorers because Steph is just one of those guys where if he catches fire, he could hit like 23s. Like he could have one of the best shooting nights we've ever seen with his ability to put the ball in the basket. He can pull it from half court. If Steph has one of those crazy nights and Steve Kerr just lets him go and it's a close game, which is something else we have to take into consideration, then Steph could probably go for 100. He's probably one of the best candidates for this. So narrowing it down, I think my top four are Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, and Kevin Durant. I think those are my top four guys. There's a lot of other guys, like I mentioned, that you could make arguments for on that list, but I think these are just the four guys that if I had to put money on someone to break the record at some point during their careers, these are probably the top four guys I would go with. And now to kind of order them a little bit, I guess, if I have to, I think Luka would probably be fourth, just kind of a little bit more of a scoring load. I'm not as great of a scorer as the other three. Maybe at some point he could drop. Luka could absolutely 100% drop like a 70 ball or an 80 ball. I just worry about, you know, double teaming him and stuff like that if he can kind of get around those. Steph, Embiid, and Kevin Durant I feel like are a little bit better. They have better kind of complementary casts around them to help them out. For my third, I think it's between... It's tough. The top three guys I think are in a tier of their own when I'm discussing this. Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant. To be honest, I think if I've got to make a pick for who can break the record, I'm going with Joel Embiid. Embiid is the guy that I'm going to go with. He's just got a very unique combination of his ability to score both down low and in the mid-range and at the three-point line. He can do a little bit of all of those things. In addition, he's just a bruising body. Teams can throw double teams at him, but having James Harden to get him the ball on pick and rolls could be huge for them. He could really help him out. And just the fact that I could definitely see Joel Embiid having a night where he drops like 50 as well as goes to the free throw line like 30, 40 times if he just continues to get hacked. racking up points. I think Joel Embiid is really up there. Second, I think I'll have Kevin Durant right there. Once again, I do worry about having Kyrie Irving as another big scoring option, but overall, I think he can pull it off. And third, I will have Steph Curry with his shooting. Just his ability to knock down 3-point shots at a ridiculous volume, I think really helps him out. So those are my guys. If I had to pick someone, I'm going with Embiid, Steph, or Kevin Durant. Those are my top three, with Joel Embiid, I think, winning out for me right now. This is just right now, by the way, not over the course of their careers. Anyways, this was kind of fun to talk about this. Let me know who, if you had to pick someone to break the 100-point record, who it would be in the comment section below. I appreciate y'all watching, and I will see you all later. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe as well. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.